I'm here with Chloe Meister. She's a senior graphic design major at Syracuse University, and she's actually spending the semester abroad in Copenhagen, Denmark, through the DIS Study Abroad program. Hello, Chloe.
Hello, Kira.
So first off, can you explain to me what the DIS program is and how it differs from any of the SU Abroad programs?
Yes. Um, DIS is a study abroad in Scandinavia program. They have two sections, DIS Copenhagen, which is where I'm studying, and starting this semester, they actually have a second school in Stockholm.
Oh, cool.
Called DIS Stockholm. And it's study abroad in Scandinavia. Scandinavia is your home, and Europe is your classroom. So it's a global partner of Syracuse, meaning that it's not an SU Abroad Center, but there are partners with Syracuse. So there's a pretty extensive list of courses that translate directly back to Syracuse, and you can get credit for, and they count for courses that you could take at SU, even though they're not taught by SU professors here. So all of the classes that I'm taking here are transferring back to Syracuse. But there are very few Syracuse students here, as opposed to places like SU London, where you're in classes with other Syracuse students. I think that this year has the highest number of Syracuse students that they've ever had at DIS, but it's less than 10 of us.
Oh, wow.
So
okay.
Very small.
And why did you choose to do DIS and not study abroad? Is it because of the major what you're majoring in at Syracuse?
It's both because of what I'm majoring in and because I wanted to meet more people who don't go to Syracuse.
Okay.
I didn't really want to do a program at one of the SU Abroad centers because I figured if I'm going to challenge myself and go abroad, I want to fully commit and not get to another country, but still being with all the same people that I know. I wanted to really throw myself into a new place and to meet new people.
Cool.
So I picked a global partner for that reason, and because I'm studying graphic design, and Copenhagen and Scandinavia is known for its design, both graphic design, fashion design, furniture design, architecture. So I really wanted to be able to learn more about different kinds of design, and this had a really good program for it, so that was probably my main factor.
Okay, great. What's your living situation like while you're there? I understand you're living in a living and learning community, but could you kind of describe what that is to me?
Yes. Living and learning community, they are communities that you can apply for when you get into the DIS program.
Okay.
And they are small communities where different people share similar interests. So when you apply, you can put up to 3 things you're interested in, and I'm in a culinary learning community. So it's full of people who either like cooking, whether they're good at cooking or whether they're just interested in learning how to cook, or people who like food or eating or food culture.
Wow.
It's all of us, and it's about 30 people, and we have weekly events that are focused on cooking and food culture. So we learn about Danish food and about cooking and farming and local products here and using ingredients that are grown locally, different things like that.
That's really cool.
In the learning community. But there are also other learning communities. There's visual arts, and they do weekly events where they see different art exhibitions and stuff.
Nice.
There's performing arts. There's a green community that's devoted to learning about sustainability. There's like a social activism community. There's an outdoors where they do things like canoeing and stuff. You don't have to have any experience in the areas for your learning community, but you just have to be interested and willing to devote the time to going to events for those. But there's also, if you didn't live in a learning community, they're kind of competitive to get into. You have to apply and write an essay. There's also just regular residential communities, which are very similar to dorms at Syracuse. Or there's collegiums, which are Danish dorms where you're with other Danish students. It's because Danish colleges don't have their own dorms. There's just these collegiums where college students from any of the colleges can go live, and they live together. So there's also international students, like people from DIS, or you could do a homestay. So
nice. Well, speaking of food, how would you describe the food of Copenhagen and kind of in comparison to the U.S.? And also, what has been your favorite dish or favorite food you've had since you've been there? I know I've loved looking at all your pictures on Instagram, but I want to know, what's your favorite thing you've had since you've been there?
ooh. I don't know. I'll think about my favorite thing. I've had a lot. Let's see. The food here, there's let's see. They have very specific products. Since it's such a small country, there's very specific kinds of food that are kind of local to here, that become staples for Danish food. So the most popular Danish food that you would think of, like the most like iconic dish, it's not even really a dish, but it's small brød, which is an open-faced sandwich.
Ooh, that sounds good already.
It literally translates to butter bread. It's just a piece of rye bread and then a heavy level layer of butter on top of it.
Wow.
And then there's a lot of traditional ones with like fried fish and shrimp, or there's ones with different kinds of meat, like roast beef and like horseradish. They're very, very like interesting and flavorful combinations.
Yum.
But they're the most common kind of thing for people here. A lot of the time people will just take whatever leftovers they have from other meals and find the way to put it on rye bread and make it an open-faced sandwich. So really anything can be on one, and so that's why it's such a common thing here. But there are traditional ones, like fish and potato ones are really popular.
Nice.
Potatoes are another really popular food here because they're grown locally. And so is cabbage, because cabbage grows year-round here, so cabbage is very common.
Cool.
Herring is a very common kind of fish. I'm not
How do you
really
feel about that?
It's too fishy.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I guess now that I'm thinking more, my favorite food that I've had here are the cinnamon rolls. They're called knallesnals here. And they have a bakery that's right next to where most of the classrooms are. And on every Wednesday, you can get a cinnamon roll that's over twice the size of the regular cinnamon roll, but for the same price.
Wow, what a bargain.
And so they're called Wednesday snails, but in Danish, it's an onsdagsnal. So, but they call them snails because they curve around and look like snails.
Cool.
So they're aware that it's like related to a bug, but that is just what they call them.
Nice. Well, I know a lot of people have enjoyed following along your blog that you are doing this semester called Copenhagen, very catchy by the way, Adventures of a Hungry Design Student.
Me.
Yeah, I have a lot of friends who are considering studying abroad. They've actually all been following it and really have been enjoying it. And how did you get involved in becoming a student blogger for DIS?
You have to apply to become a student blogger. And I knew I wanted to apply because when I was trying to decide if I wanted to study abroad or not, one of the leading things that swayed my decision was reading blogs of other student bloggers.
Okay.
So after I started reading those, I kind of knew that I wanted to keep my own blog because it influenced me so much, and I wanted to hopefully be able to do the same for other students. So in order to apply to be a student blogger, you had to write a blog post before you left, and then within your first week of being in Copenhagen, you had to write another blog post after your arrival. And then you had to do an interview with somebody from the marketing department.
Okay.
And there's a lot of different applicants, and they pick one blogger for pretty much every core course, I believe.
Cool.
Which is the main thing you're studying here. And then they also have student photographers and student videographers who also document things and are featured on the website. And so, yep, I applied for that, and then I found out that I got it.
That's awesome.
And it was exciting.
Very cool. What would you say has been your biggest challenge during your time abroad so far?
There's definitely one of the, I don't know, it can be hard sometimes because they do all speak English here, but Danish is still the language that they all speak to each other.
Okay, yeah.
People start learning English when they're 6 here, so everyone's totally fluent in it.
Oh, okay.
But so you never have problems with people. Like if you say they'll start speaking to you in Danish, and then you just say excuse me, and then they'll start speaking to you in English instead. And I've never had an issue with that. But menus at places and things in the grocery
I can imagine
store,
that could be tricky.
those are all in Danish, and the currency is different and everything. So it's sometimes a bit of a struggle to figure out what you're actually buying and how much you're actually paying for it, and things like that.
Have you been like picking up any Danish since being there? I'm sure a little bit.
I am in a Danish class.
Oh, wow.
So I am learning Danish.
That's so cool. Look at you. And one final question. I see from one of your very first blog entries that you created a list of 10 goals for yourself for to kind of look at throughout the semester. And I know you've been in Copenhagen a little bit over a month, or just about a month in. Would you say you've accomplished any of those goals yet, or are you still kind of making your way through? And if not, kind of what do you hope to accomplish before you leave in December?
I've definitely been accomplishing a bunch of the goals already. I've definitely been putting myself out there and challenging myself in a lot of different ways. And I rode a bike, so I did that.
Wow.
I'm booking some tickets to visit other cities, which is another thing
cool.
on my list. So I'm definitely making my way through. There's nothing so far that seems unachievable.
Yeah.
I'm getting to know Danish people. I actually just got back from dinner with my visiting host family, who is Danish. They took me to a very good sushi place.
Ooh.
Which might be my second favorite food I've had in Denmark.
That sounds delicious.
So, yes.
Well, that's incredible. Well, thank you so much for taking time out of your day to talk to me and give us some perspectives on going abroad. I really appreciate it.
Anytime.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Farewell.